Good morning and welcome back again to Concerned Citizens Media. Uh, as usual, I have some news to share with you for today, and I got a couple of videos at the end of the news reading. Here are the news and Concerned Citizens Media comment for December 27, 2020. Ethiopian Election Board announced the timetable for upcoming sixth national election. June 5, 2021 is a parliamentary members voting date or election date for parliament, June 5, 2021. The registration dates are set for March 1 to 30. The Tigray region is not included in this election schedule due to the ongoing conflict and instability in the region. Addis Ababa and the Dire Dawa administration would have their election on June 12, 2021. June 6 to 28, from June 6 to June 28 is the final election board certified results announcement date. Ethiopian Citizens for Justice, or IZEMA in Amharic, party, which is led by Dr. Birhanu Nagga, welcomed this election board announcement and agreed to take part in it. Ethiopian Citizens for Justice is very friendly to Abiy Ahmed's Prosperity Party. Prosperity Party is currently controlling the country's resources and using them against any opposition party that might threaten Prosperity Party's victory in the upcoming election. Oromo Liberation Front and Oromo Federalist Congress parties called on Abiy Ahmed to release their political leaders, members, supporters, and to open all local, regional, and their national officials before talking about the election. Both parties expressed their deepest concerns about Prosperity Party holding election in such unfriendly and volatile condition. By all indications, this election will not be free and fair election. The ruling party, PP, has dismantled, disqualified, and also filled its presence with opposition political figures. Citizens are also systematically coerced and intimidated to vote for Prosperity Party. So the election is announced and expected in June. I don't think it's different than Malles Zenawi time by all indications. All political figures, especially those can challenge PP, are in jail. Johar Mohammed, Bakala Garba, Abdi Ragasa, and others. So I don't know what the Oromos are waiting for, what they're expecting in such kind of conditions. It's not bright. It will not be free and fair election, and PP will declare maybe again, just like TPLF, 100% win. Ethiopian Human Rights Council released its first partial report on Maikadra and its surrounding. Based on its 8 days investigation, this council raised the number of citizens massacred in Maikadra from 600 to 1100. From 600 to 1100, so the number is increased by almost 500. According to this report, citizens were killed by various hand tools and machine guns and in very inhumane manners. Multiple rape cases are also included in this report. Metekel zone is under heavy security operations since the deaths of more than 200 citizens in the region. Senior local officials have been detained by Abiy Ahmed operatives. Such operations was conducted in the region before, and instability continues in the region. Local residents blamed SAT TV and the Amara region leaders and the militia for the region's insecurity and ethnic violence. So it's a very tough situation in Metekel. It's very gruesome crimes committed against different ethnics. And one guy is talking to BBC. He said he lost, I think he's from Oromo ethnics. He lost 8 members of his family. He got only, luckily he survived, and his daughter. That's so eight people died from the same family. It's from Oromo family. So it's a very tough situation, and that's why we called on Mr. Abiy Ahmed to resign. He is not able to lead the country to peace or stability. So he should consider resigning, and so Ethiopians should call upon him to leave the office, to resign, and the country needs a reconciliation dialogue to create peace among all citizens. Oromos living in Bati district in Wello are crying for help. According to the reports coming out of Wello area, residents of Bati in Wello are constantly attacked by Afar and Amhara special forces, according to various reports coming out of there. Residents are informing to various media that their existence is threatened by coordinated attacks from these two regions, and the federal government is ignoring their calls for help. Oromos in Wello said that these well-organized and armed militia have been conducting killings, tortures, raping, and property destruction in the area. Such type of atrocities had happened in Somalia region during Abdi Ile administration. TPLF coordinated and also turned a blind eye to that serious situation. A similar situation is happening now on Wello Oromos under Abiy Ahmed leadership. Oromos at home and abroad, plus others, are called upon to save Wellos from these life-threatening situations. So that's a tough one. And it was practiced by TPLF-dominated leaders at the time when Abdiu Ille was, playing with blood, and TPLF ignored, thinking it is advantageous for to extend their power in the country, but it worked against them. So I don't know why Abiy uh, is not responding. The Oromia region, not responding for Wallo's concern. They are being attacked from both sides and armed by government money, really, by federal government money to attack, to take their land, or to displace them from, to eliminate them from area. So Amaras are also have intention to eliminate Wallos, to, Wallos are claiming they are part of Oromo, and Amara don't want that. So that's why this coordinated attack to eliminate this. So the federal government is silent in the same way like TPLF time. So they are calling for Oromos living back home, abroad, and the international community to help them save from this very serious situation. Abiy Ahmed's security forces heavily beaten and arrested Mr. Jaal Marroo's father and mother. These are very old parents and do not know about their son for almost 17 years. So far, their whereabouts are unknown. Abiy Ahmed's cruelty continues against the family members have nothing to do with sons, daughters, or brothers. Lack of accountability and lawlessness are very common, especially in Oromia region. Last time, Yahya Bashir is a well-known Oromo Facebook activist brother, was killed by Abiy Ahmed's undercover operatives, and nobody was brought to justice for that heinous crime. So Oromos are in a very, very difficult time under Abiy Ahmed. They celebrated, they welcomed him, and he is now acting against them in any ways he can. He want to destroy them. He want to torture them. He want to kill them. Then he will remain in the White House or become a king or president, who knows, by killing Oromos. So he determined to build Ethiopia under the bloodshed of the Oromos. And his strategies are very dangerous than the TPLF leaders. TPLF mostly they don't attack the family member of the activist or the soldiers. They just focus whoever is a criminal or whoever is responsible for, But Abiy Ahmed and his supporters are trying to silence activists or fighters by going after their family members. So it's a different kind of enemy, and it's a very tough one. So that's the reading part. I am gonna share some video for today, then I will conclude today's presentation. The first one is about the new strain of COVID-19. It's a very short video too. This new strain started in UK.
Japan, Spain, and Canada have joined several other nations to report the fast-spreading variant that originated from the United Kingdom. Just a few days after the United Kingdom reported multiple cases of the mutated virus, countries banned travel to and from the United Kingdom for almost over a week now. But now many countries in the world have reported the new variant that originated in the United Kingdom. For instance, in Europe, nations such as Belgium, Italy, Spain, Germany, France, Ireland, Iceland, Denmark, and the Netherlands have all reported the new strain of the coronavirus. Interestingly, Australia too, which has had very few cases in the entire of the pandemic, has also reported the very first cases of the new variant that originated in Britain. Meanwhile, Japan has become the first Asian nation to report the new variant of the coronavirus. The Japanese government has advised its citizens to avoid social gathering. The Japanese government has also decided to ban all new entries of foreign nationals until the end of January. The new strain of COVID-19, which is sweeping across England, has caused alarm around the world. With a transmission rate of almost about 70%, the virus strain discovered in the United Kingdom spreads much faster than other COVID-19 variants. The World Health Organization has said that the new strain is not out of control yet, and it can still be contained using the existing measures. Last week, the WHO chief had urged people to suppress transmission of all kinds of coronaviruses. It also said that there is no evidence that the new variant could be more lethal than the existing known strains of the coronavirus. However, experts warn that the new strain of infection can actually force countries to impose lockdowns yet again. Beyond is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.
Okay, that's a short video about the new strain of COVID-19. This is troublesome. It's a challenge, so still we have to watch out. We got the vaccines for the former ones, so I don't know how we're gonna deal with this new one. Okay, let's see the next video now. Okay. Okay, this one is about Sudan, Ethiopia.
Viewers, an important update
Very short one,
Ethiopia
this one
Sudan
too.
border tensions. Reportedly, Ethiopian government has decided to mobilize its forces along Ethiopia Sudan border. In three areas, Ethiopian government forces conducted military maneuvers yesterday. Viewers, these three areas are near Sudan's border. Viewers, Hadi, Warmajo, and Wadi Nur. These are three places where Ethiopian forces conducted military maneuvers yesterday. Viewers, a clear sign of flexing of muscles by Ethiopia. Viewers, we saw that Sudanese government forces, they kept on advancing towards Ethiopia border. They are still advancing. Viewers, they have captured several key areas and now they are consolidating their gains. Now Ethiopia has also decided to mobilize its forces. So far it was just military maneuvers. No large-scale attack, counter-attack has been planned by Ethiopian forces. But we saw day before yesterday that some artillery shells were fired from Ethiopian side on Wad Koli area, which is on Sudan side of the border. Other than that, viewers, no incident was seen in which Ethiopian forces tried to launch an offensive against Sudanese forces. But Ethiopia is flexing its muscles, viewers. Ethiopia is conducting military maneuvers near Sudan's border. It is perhaps sending a message to Sudan's forces that it might go for a military confrontation if matters are not resolved diplomatically. The Ethiopian government forces are caught up on several fronts. In Tigray, they are fighting Tigray fighters. In Benishangul, Gumuz, we saw an incident of ethnic massacre viewers. And in Benishangul, Gumuz as well, Ethiopian forces have been deployed. Benishangul, Gumuz state of Ethiopia shares border with Sudan as well. So Ethiopian forces are caught up on several fronts, viewers. Ethiopian Prime Minister is speaking the language of peace, viewers. He is issuing only conciliatory statements regarding Sudan-Ethiopia border tensions. But this is the first indication that Ethiopian government forces, they are also being mobilized towards Sudan's border. Let's see what happens, viewers. Sudanese side is continuously covering this war. Sudanese media is covering this war, this fighting, I would say. Ethiopian media is silent on this development about what is happening on the border, Sudan-Ethiopia border. If you want to get a feel of what is happening on Sudan-Ethiopia border, please consult both media sources, Ethiopian and Sudanese. Ethiopian media is totally silent. I mean, Ethiopian state media. Sudanese media is continuously covering what is happening on Sudan-Ethiopia border. Let's see what happens. So far, Ethiopian forces have not decided to launch a full-scale military offensive against Sudanese forces, but they are building up their presence along Sudan-Ethiopia border. Thanks for watching.
Okay, that's a little bit highlight or update on the border area. And as he said, especially the government media, people in the higher position in the government, they are silent, really. They are very silent. The situation seems normal. I don't know what the advantage of keeping it down like that. Telling the Ethiopians it's just like minor border conflict when the Sudan is crossed, talking about 40 kilometers, taking away fertile lands. This is a war, but Abiy chose to remain silent and order state medias not to talk about this. I know some other medias, SAD and others, they are talking about it, but the state media is purposely ignored the issue. Probably the order is given from Abiy Ahmed. So we will see.
The second one is that
Okay, this is the last video.
Government troops took control of the Tigrayan regional capital of Metekel. When Ethiopian government troops took control of the Tigrayan regional capital of Metekel last month, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said the law enforcement operation against the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, or TPLF, was over. Others said the conflict had only just begun. Abiy said no civilians have been killed by government troops. Both sides have been accused of rights abuses.
We've seen targeting of civilians and civilian infrastructure with heavy artillery fire. We have seen widespread looting of private property in many towns in western Tigray. We've seen extrajudicial executions of individuals alleged to be linked to the TPLF, but also prominent business people. We've obviously also seen a context of massive restrictions on humanitarian access.
The conflict has impacted the region. There are numerous reports of Eritrean soldiers operating in Tigray. Eritrea's and Ethiopia's governments deny it. More than 50,000 people have fled to refugee camps in neighbouring Sudan. That's reignited an old border dispute between the two countries. Last week, Sudan accused Ethiopian forces of attacking its soldiers inside its border. And within Ethiopia, there are an increasing number of reports of inter-ethnic violence in other parts of the country. Last week, more than 100 villagers were killed by an armed group in Benishangul Gumuz region.
These type of incidents have been very, very frequent in Ethiopia, and doesn't now that those incidents have claimed the lives of dozens, hundreds, even thousands of people. So it really is a recurring theme. It has been a recurring theme for the last 6 months or a month. That's the sad reality.
It was mass protests in different parts of the country that brought Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to power nearly 3 years ago. Before that, decades of authoritarian rule.
They should come back. Those errors must come back if they reverse the way Abiy is heading. They must wake up.
His drive to unify Ethiopia has conflicted with growing demands of various ethnic groups who are seeking more autonomy.
When you have over 100 ethnic groups in a country, you have to find ways of making things work, right? So Abiy's, move towards, quote-unquote unity is likely to cause more problems. TPLF is just one.
TPLF dominated the government for nearly 30 years before Abiy took over. One of the triggers of the conflict in Tigray was the postponement of elections that were due 4 months ago because of COVID. Now they're expected to be held amid growing tensions in 2021. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera.
Let's talk now to Martin Plout. He's a fellow University of London and Horn of Africa analyst. He joins us on Skype from London. Martin Plout, welcome back to the News Hour. Why did the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed misjudge this situation so horrendously?
Two reasons for this. The first is that he thought that he had the force of the Ethiopian Federal Army behind him, an air force that the Tigrayans couldn't possibly respond to, and that he had with him also Amhara militia. So he had a very powerful force, and then from the north he had allies in Eritrea who have also become involved in this conflict. So he was essentially attacking from three directions, from the north, from the east, and from the south, and he thought he could crush the Tigrayans. The second one is that he is a Pentecostalist and very much believes that positive thought is enough; it will get you by. So, in a sense, there were two reasons for this.
Do you think the Tigrayans will carry on pushing back? And if they try to, can they sustain that?
I think that's a very difficult question to answer. The indications at the moment are that there is still fighting going on. How long that will continue for is impossible to tell, but they did have more than 100, maybe 150,000 men under arms, and the tradition in Tigray is to go into the hills and fight from the hills, not to try to hold the cities. So if they do that, they have a long history of doing it, and there's no reason why they could not continue. The big question is, what will Sudan do? Because all their supplies of essentials like fuel and food and ammunition will need to come in from Sudan. Can that be sustained? Will Sudan allow that to be sustained? That we don't know.
So clearly this maybe never started out as a law enforcement operation. That was what it was labelled as. It sounds as if you're painting a picture describing this descending into almost a civil war.
Well, it's not a civil war. This is an international war. You already have the Eritreans involved. The United States has made it clear that they believe the Eritrean forces are involved. Britain, sort of off the record, accepts that this is the case. So did the European Union. So there's little indication that's not true. Eritrean forces are involved. So you are this is now a full-scale war on three fronts involving more than one country. That's terribly dangerous for the Tigrayans, but also for Ethiopia, because they also withdrew troops That destabilized Somalia. They pulled people out of other areas which were tense, like Benishangul, which has now seen more than 100 people dead with ethnic violence. Now, how much can that be laid on the door of Abiy Ahmed? Well, I think quite a lot.
Martin Plaut in London. Thanks very much.
Okay, that's the update on the situation between the federal government and the Tigray and the involvement of the Eritrean forces. Casualty claims, Abiy said no civilians died, but the reports are coming now slowly. They're making him a liar. He's lying to the public, to Ethiopians, to the global community. So the media's, when they get the chance, they will expose him, the international organizations. That's why he's don't wanna allow independent investigation or global medias, because so many things are hidden. Nobody knows how many people are died, how many injured, what property damaged, has looted, and how many Eritreans are in Tigray fighting for Abiy. All this is coming out slowly, but so far no detailed picture. We are in a tough situation. The country is slowly heading to a failed state. As I reported before, everywhere, no peace really. No peace, instability. Instability everywhere. Ethnic, conflict, hate between among citizens is horrible. Wherever you go, there is no peace. No peace. The country is under military occupation. In Oromia, Benishangul, the Benishangul is now for the second time maybe. It has been under military occupation, now again declared. We don't know what's happening there because it's sealed. Medias are not allowed to go in. So Abiy is a loser really. He is a loser. He lost. He lost his credibility. He is not trustworthy. His speeches means nothing. Nobody respect him. Nobody fear him. He is dependent on security forces. He is dependent on the military forces, the federal forces. These are useless, really. If you don't have the trust of the people, cooperation of the people, the willingness to work with you, whatever military you have, whatever undercover security you may have, federal police, special police, all these are nothing. So they are not working. And that's why concerned citizens media is again calling upon him to resign immediately and facilitate the country for dialogue and reconciliation, possibly for forming a transitional government. So election, it doesn't make sense in the current situation. I know the PP try to get a global legitimacy. I don't know who gonna send observers to Ethiopia in the current situation, unless they want to sign for PP. Hey, you want 100%, because the field is not fair. They know thousands and thousands are in jail, politicians, ordinary citizens. So the global community, the international community, Ethiopians at home and abroad, they must demand the resignation of this guy for the sake of the country, then they can start rebuilding, reconciling with dialogue. You know, force doesn't take you anywhere. You may win temporary victory. So that's all I have for today. Thank you for listening, and appreciate your comment. I will be back with other videos and the news. Be safe. So long, everyone.